There is a famous saying in the marketing culture these days, right now, which is nothing but you are the niche. Create the niche of one. I got to this framework or this new ideology 2 years ago when Danko made a video on YouTube with the title The Most Profitable Niche is You. I love the idea. I have no hate for Danko. He's doing a fantastic job. But if you are building a service business, if you are selling a high ticket B2B offer, the problem with creating a niche of one or you are the niche is that you end up solving a problem that you already have faced, which means you're essentially helping people who are below you. Or likely, the only way for you to make sales is by positioning yourself as someone who have gone through that challenge and just influence. So one thing people don't understand properly is that if your business is completely dependent on how much influence you can make or how well you can position just on that, on these two things or these two variables, you are essentially becoming an influencer. The problem of this framework of you are the niche is that your content is all about you going through that challenge and how other people can avoid that challenge, which means all of your audience are people who are less smarter than you or who are below you when it comes to the problem you're solving. Not essentially they have a burning problem or they have a burning desire to solve that problem. To make it more concrete, because I'm sure this doesn't sound real or truthful or as concrete as you wish. So, first and foremost, let's start the presentation from here. 97% of YouTubers are getting niche advice. That's completely wrong. And in this video, you will explore a solution to this problem so that you can skip this rat race of trying to become an influencer. So let's take an example of two plumbers. There's a plumber A who serves poor families, right? And of course, because it is poor families, he can only charge $50 an hour to the maximum level. How does his business looks like? He have cheap materials. Most of the things, most of the things are do-it-yourself solutions because poor people cannot afford premium solutions. So it's DIY, and the payment plans are like really cheap. And then it's going to be quick fixes, but the most important factor for him is how cost effective he can make his solution. So his business is all about serving poor families. What? How can he scale this company? By serving more people, because he can't make a lot of money from individual families. So he have to make a lot of sales, right? And the only way he will be able to do that, or he will be able to attract this type of audience, is by providing cost effective solutions. Because poor families don't care about how quickly they can access the solution, they only care about how cheap they can get it done. So it's all about cheap materials, do it yourself solutions, and quick small payment plans and quick fixes. But let's come back to plumber B. In plumber B, it's about serving rich executives, extremely wealthy people. He's gonna charge $500 per hour, and it's not about how cheap or how cost effective the solution is. It's about how quickly the problem can be solved. Because for a rich executive, he don't care about throwing $500 even if just takes 1 hour, but he need to get the stuff done as soon as possible. That's how rich people mindset looks like. So for him, the solution is 24 is to 7 emergency, premium materials, so the problem won't exist anymore. He don't have to think about that anymore. He can remove that thought from his mind. And white glove service, same day fixes, as mentioned. It's about how much time can this plumber save for this rich executive. So when you think about these two scenarios, They are doing the exact job. They are fixing the pipes or providing the plumbing service. But what differentiates both of these people is whom they serve. And even the problem that we call, like in the marketing world, you can see this all the time: solve rich people's problems or solve problems to build a successful business in general. In business, you can find this advice everywhere, right? But the problem here, the problem that plumber A is solving or the problem that plumber B is solving are completely different. Sure, it's about fixing the pipes or providing that service, but that is service. That is not the problem. The problem plumber A is solving is cost effective solution for poor families, right? Because of the target market is poor families, it's about making it cheap, you know. Even if the plumber A becomes a bit delayed with his service, it's completely fine unless he's providing the service for a cheap cost. But for plumber B, if he's late, he's out of the business. But if he can provide as much quickly as possible, he will win the business. It's not really about saving a lot of money, it's about saving a lot of time, because rich people care about time more than they care about money. So what you can understand this by looking into these two scenarios is that it's not about your service, it's about the problem you solve. And the contradicting part of this famous advice that you are the niche is that you're too focused on the service, not the problem. Because you are a different person, and maybe the problem is the same, or the service or the technicality of what you have faced is same. But when you talk about that with your audience, who are, maybe there are a lot of poor people, there are a lot of executives, there are a lot of rich founders or CEOs. For all of them, it's completely different problems. If you talk about, let's say, your struggles with making good videos, right? Let's say content creation. You faced a lot of issues with making consistent content in the early days of your content creation journey, and that is the problem you're solving for your audience. You are building a brand around that category. A huge part of your audience who are beginners will perceive that as a way of, saving years of experience of doing mistakes and trial and error. For them, it's about, you know making sure they are on the right track. But for a rich person, it's about getting your service or just implementing your solutions or hiring someone or hiring you itself to solve that problem. The way everyone perceives what you're helping are completely different, and it's not possible to build a business around that. You know what I'm saying, right? So let's come back to the next part of this presentation: how exactly you can solve this problem. So you are the niche is garbage, as we spoke. Another concrete example here will be, if plumber A was not aware of his target market, he was creating a niche of himself. What would have happened is that he was so obsessed with the service, with how well he's able to solve these pipe related problems, right? What happens is he have no idea that most people who are watching his content are poor families. He's focused completely on solving the problem, I mean solving the technicality, while he's not even aware that what people want is cost effective solutions. He's just focused on making the stuff better, but most of his audience are poor audience. They can't afford a world class solution. He's not aware of that. If he was aware of that, and maybe let's say he was doing the marketing for the rich people, it would have been a completely different story. But he's not even aware most of his audience are poor families, and still he's trying to create a world class solution and charge premium prices. No wonder why he won't be able to make sales. On the other hand, if someone is based in NYC, having a lot of traffic from rich executives, but extremely focused on the product itself, not even knowing he have really rich audience, and focusing on cost effective solutions, he's throwing millions on the table. He could have built $1 million business out of this rich executive audience if he was aware of the fact that he have a rich audience. But he's extremely focused on the product because yeah, he's building a niche of him. He's just focused on storytelling, making sure people understand why he exists, why he is the best person to solve this problem, while he don't he's not solving the actual problem his audience face, which is time effective solutions, being able to serve their executives within 24 hours or within 2 3 hours, extremely time effective solutions, right? What happens is he don't make enough business, he will get out of business in some time. So clearly you are the niche is a garbage advice. This advice is backwards because it focuses on what you want to say, what you want to do, rather than what they need or what they need to hear. No matter how good you are with your plumbing service, if you can't get it done within 2 3 hours for a rich executive, you are not in their minds. And quite frankly, you don't even have a messaging. You are not even talking about, I will provide you this service within 2 3 hours, because you're not even aware of that. You're not aware that rich executives want quick fixes, they want quick solutions. You're not even aware of that fact. You're completely focused on your ability to solve the plumbing issues. So what happens is they don't care about it. They end up choosing a vendor who is providing quick fixes, who have a really good time effective solution, not essentially as good as you are, not essentially having the story that you have. Like maybe you had a past story that is a part of your personal brand, which demonstrates how good you are with your plumbing service. That story doesn't add any value, doesn't make any sense for a rich executive to choose you unless you have made the whole messaging tailored for them. You see what I mean, right? So when you think about cooking, let's say like cooking whatever you want versus what customers want, this is a good example, right? If you are cooking whatever you want, sure, some people might like, but most people might not like, because it's what you want, not what they want. So if you want to become a chef, you really need to know whether your customers are loving your product, whether your customers are liking what you are baking. If not, you won't be able to build a business. You won't be able to become successful because you're just so much focused on yourself to a degree where you have no idea about what problem you're solving. I personally faced this problem many times in my career where I was just focused on the product. The thing you need to understand is your product becomes only your product only becomes valuable the moment customers start using it. A lot of people have this dilemma that, if I spend more time on this tech, my product becomes so good and people will really like it, right? But the truth is, if you have not even started marketing your product, if no one have used it yet, your product is not a product. It is just a perception in your mind. What I mean by this is, if I make really good videos and I help SaaS founders delegate their video creation to someone who is similar to me, who can make really good videos. Unless I am aware that that is what they want, my product is not a product. It's just making good videos. Who need to make good videos? I should be having a strong understanding about this target market, because what a SaaS founder is looking for when hiring a really good video creation person and delegating the coaching side of things to someone like me is way different from helping, let's say, new creators to become better at video creation, right? So if I don't have the idea about who I'm going to serve, then I have no idea about what problem I'm solving, even though I know what my service is. So the way to navigate through this challenge is by thinking first principles. I love the first principle approach, famous by Elon Musk type of people, that it's so good because you no longer have the assumptions taking up your whole mind. You're thinking from a foundational level, like why this happens, what is the reason behind it, why I should do this, why I should do that. You're questioning the questions and reasoning the reasons. This is the only way to come up with the best conclusions for any chaotic situations. So every successful business needs who, a specific market, because even if I am doing video creation sort of things, and if I have no idea about who I'm helping, I can't build a business, because there can be a SaaS founder I'm serving some days, and there can be a Fortune 500 company I'm serving some days. So it's completely chaotic. There is no way I can make accurate presumptions on, or predictions or projections on where I could get in 6 months from now if I don't have a clear market. The second thing is what? What is a specific problem? Because video creation is not a problem, it is a service. What problem they have? Maybe it is like building trust with customers, because if you have a SaaS company and there is no YouTube videos where there is a person's face, it's very hard to trust unless you are the biggest company in your market, because you have a lot of word of mouth referrals, ads, and things like that. If that's the case, maybe it's fine. If not, having your face, having the founder's face, or having a teammate's face on your YouTube channel is crucially important. That is the problem solving if it's a SaaS company. But if it's a Fortune 500 company and I'm providing coaching, maybe I'm helping them with communication side of things, or how to train their team to become better at videos or content in general for doing employee marketing. That's a completely different problem to solve, right? So once you identify the specific market, you need to know what exactly is the problem you're solving for them. If not, you can't make a successful business. You know what I'm saying? Now, once you know what is the problem, you need to define your solution, how you're going to solve that problem. Again, video creation or cooking or plumbing service is a service, is a product, not solution. Sure, it's a big part of it. That's how you're solving the problem. But your solution is about packaging, how you're going to help your target market solve their problem. If their problem is, let's say, building trust, you're not providing them video creation service, for instance. You're providing them something that is going to solve their trust issues. It is framed in a way that is helping them get out of the bubble of worrying about their reputation. So that's how the framing is what matters. It's not about what you do, it's about what they get. And you will only be able to communicate that through framing, by framing your solution, by framing your service in a way that is going to help them solve their problem. So this is completely against the idea of you are the niche. You are the niche is essentially a trap for lazy people to not think about things that is important to build a successful business. You see what I mean, right? Now, let's take an example of fitness. So fitness is not a market, it is a category, right? So there is busy executives. For them, what is valuable or what is problem is their time. They want to get better at fitness, they want to improve their fitness, they want to get fit, they want to lose their weight. For them, the problem is time. They want to do all of these things, but they don't have time. For them, a solution is like 15-minute hotel workouts. That makes sense for them, right? Because they don't have a lot of time available in their days. They're completely busy. But for new moms, it's not about time, right? It's about they just born a baby, they have to take care of their child, there's a lot of things going on in her life. So for her, it's going to be baby weight plus no childcare, right? For college students, let's say, they don't have a lot of money. They are not rich people. They are maybe doing a job for making some pocket money, but they are not rich people, right? And for them, it is cheap nutrition plus tight budget because they don't have a lot of money to spend. For seniors, it is about mobility and independence. For athletes, it's about sport specific performance because for them, fitness is all about becoming better at their games, not essentially, having abs or whatever it is for a college student. So you need to understand that the key differentiating factor here is it can be same category, but completely different content strategies because the problems are completely different, even though what they are trying to accomplish is completely same. Now, let's get into the next part of this presentation. Here are some of the hidden costs of not having a niche that most of these people never talk about. Number one, your content suffers. How does it happen? Because you're going to have titles like how to lose weight fast, or how I lose my weight fast, or positioning as you have gone through that challenge, versus market specific like how busy executives lose 20 pounds without gym memberships. Just think about it. If a busy executive is coming to your profile and they saw that how I lose my weight fast, it's very hard to resonate. Maybe if you become a big influencer because of making this type of content, you got a lot of audience, maybe they might watch because you have a lot of views. But from a business standpoint, when you're just getting started, you have no views, saying how I lose my weight fast is not going to resonate with executives. Or even if you have a lot of views, let's say for how to lose weight fast or how I lose my weight fast, their likelihood of buying from you is very low because you are a completely different person. They are not able to even resonate with you. Even if they are able to resonate with you, how much of them will be able to resonate with you? So if you have a title like how busy executives lose 20 pounds without gym memberships, this title, no matter who you are right now, it will attract busy executives. It is what it is. And people have this dilemma that, oh no, I have no idea about this target market. We are going to we are going to talk about that in a second. But when you're just getting started, you have no idea what you're doing either, right? So people have this dilemma that I have never done that. You have done nothing either. You're just getting started. The only way you can become successful is trying what you have not tried and building a business around that. We will talk about this target market dilemma in a second, but that's what I'm saying, right? If you become comfortable with who you have been so far and build a business around that, your target market is always going to be people who are below you or who haven't reached your level. And if that's the case, you have to become an influencer and sell something cheap for them. You will be only able to make sales if you are selling, let's say, a course or something like that, not essentially a service, a high ticket service business. The second thing here is your thumbnails will not convert because you're going to have something that is too generic that appeals to no one. But when you have a clear target market, you're not creating a niche of you, but a niche of your market, it will immediately trigger. Because let's say if you are serving management consulting companies and you constantly bring McKinsey or Bain or BCG, you're going to attract them a lot. You're going to attract the people who have some connection with these companies, who are management consultants. So your ability to attract someone is way higher if you bring something that they recognize faster. So not only you will get a lot of specific audience which will be able to monetize easily, but also you will get a lot of them as you grow your brand. Instead of being in a situation where you have millions of subscribers who are teenagers, college students, maybe let's say 90% of them will be college students, and 3% of them will be executives, 3% of them will be people who have a job, and 2% will be something completely different. So you have no idea who are your audience when you are creating something that is appealing to a large audience. But when you have this specific, let's say McKinsey, you are constantly bringing the logos of McKinsey, or you're talking about management consultants stuff. Maybe you have less audience, but all of them are management consultants, which will help you make a lot of money. Now, the third thing of not having a niche is that you have no real community. Communities form around shared problems. Shared identities matters. Without focus, no engagement. What I mean by that is, if you don't have a niche and you are not even talking about, let's say, video creation, you're talking about me videos, me content, me personal branding. You're so focused on you. The people that you attract will be attracted towards you, not the problem you solve, right? So if you make content about a lot of different things that is you, it's too hard to form an audience of people who are there, who can afford to buy the solution from you. Maybe you talked about a lot of different things, and suddenly out of nowhere you're trying to grow your service business, which is completely about helping management consultants go from $10,000 a month to $100,000 a month. Out of nowhere, all these people will start hating you because you're being inauthentic for them, which is true, because if you didn't behave that way from the beginning, you are being inauthentic. You are providing a disservice to yourself and to these people who are expecting something completely different from you. So if you have a business, if you have a business, you must have a target market that is completely clear. And if that's the case, if you have a YouTube channel, you also should have a market, the same market that you are serving with your business. If not, you're going to appear inauthentic after a point when you change a lot of things. The fourth problem here is monetization impossible. This is true because generic audience don't buy because they haven't really got the problem that they are facing. There is no targeted solutions. Sure, I'm not that good at video creation. I would love to become good at video creation, but you won't be able to identify the exact pain point they have that is causing them to not be good at video creation. So if you, again, most of the advice of nicheless is about not even having a practice around your branch. It is about talking about everything you like. If you have at least, maybe you don't have a market, but you at least have a service, it will make a bit sense, right? Even if that's the case, let's say you are trying to sell a course of how to become good at videos, you won't be able to make that much sales because you can never become the number one solution for all of the world, right? And that is somehow important because you have a hell lot of competition. When people think about buying your video creation course, they have a couple of other people in their mind. It's very hard to become the number one solution in their minds. But if you are, like, let's say, management consultants, sure, if you are able to become more relatable for this generic audience, they might buy from you, but you have no control over that in the long term. If it's about management consultants, you just have to become so good at management consultants, that business which is so specific and so vital and so positive outcome based. It's not based on assumptions. You are becoming good at your market, you're becoming good at understanding their problem and building a business around, instead of talking more and more and more about your journey, like talking about you have ADHD and things like that to make yourself more relatable, which is somehow trying to become an influencer. If you really think about that, because you really have no idea about what they're going through, you're just talking about yourself, which might attract a lot of people who have similar problems like you. Fine, but to build a business, to build a service business, high ticket service business that can be scaled past 100K a year even, you really need to have a clear market. Generic audience want to pay thousands of dollars. Maybe they will buy your course. Sure, they will buy your course, but they won't pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. They only pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for someone who know the industry, who know the problem clearly. So this is the fourth problem. And the fifth problem here is the algorithm have no idea about what you're doing. YouTube needs to know who to recommend your content to. If not, it will be completely confused. If your content is like, you have one video about communication, you have another video about YouTube growth, you have another video about losing fat, YouTube have no idea what your content is all about. It will be completely confused, and you will attract a completely wrong type of audience, right? As mentioned earlier, there is two versions of this nicheless community. One is they have no niche, they have no topic, they have no service. It's just them, which is the core of this community, which I am referring a lot. And the second part of this community is they do have topics, they do have topics that somehow relates with each other, but because these are the problems that someone have already gone through, their ability to build a business is completely based on their past experience, not essentially the experience they could had in the future. This means they will never be able to serve a large audience. They will be never be able to solve big problems because they themselves have only gone through small problems. So the biggest part of this idea is just that. Now the algorithm confusion means if the algorithm have no idea about who exactly you're trying to solve, because you are a complicated person and algorithm have no idea who you are. And even if you try to talk about yourself a lot, there's only a few people who are like you, who have an interest on all of those subject matters. And so YouTube will be completely confused on how to reach those people. It won't be able to reach, and it will struggle a lot to help you gain enough reach to grow your business. Now, the next part of this framework is number one, market research, not soul searching. So, as mentioned earlier, if you are in this nicheless community where you are trying to, you know, create a niche of one or create a niche around you, you're essentially searching for people who are somehow like you. That's not what we want to do here. We want to do actual market research. So this can be like using tools like Google Trends, Reddit communities, Facebook groups, industry reports, and competitor analysis. This sounds like vague for a lot of people these days, but because they don't like to do these all things, only old school people like to do these all things. But this is so crucial in a world where AI can do 95% of the high quality service thing. You need to know the exact market you're trying to solve and how their behavior looks like to tailor your solution for them. Because service is like going to be replaced by AI a lot, but solving problems, problem solving is still going to be relevant for the next couple of decades. So the questions you need to ask yourself is what markets are growing? This is important because if you are helping translating companies, right? If you source the market of translation or you know voice to text translation companies, let's say, all those translation related services, within 3 or 4 years, that market might not be available anymore. That market might disappear because already there are so many tools like AI tools and you know so many of tools like Descript even, where you can edit a video based on your transcription. So there's a lot of advanced technology around translation. And if you're choosing the translation market, which is already dying, there has been a lot of companies which helps people with translating their words into different language or things like that, which have been done manually in the past, but no longer it is done manually. It is, of course, done through tools right now. Myself included, we use a lot of tools for translations. If you are serving that market, there's no point because within a couple of years, that market is going to disappear. So, what you need to do instead is find markets that are growing. This is like quantum computing. AI is a growing market. There is life sciences related companies that are really growing. You need to understand the markets that are growing, which means they are not too affected by AI. The demand is increasing because of AI. And the next question you need to ask is, what problems are people actively solving for this target market? This helps you understand there is high demand. It's not like you are the first person to solve that problem, which is risky. Sometimes it can be a big opportunity, but more than often it's a big risk you can take. So make sure you have high demand, at the same time low supply. Not a lot of people are solving that problem, but there are enough people solving that problem. If not, it means it might not be proven, which is a big risk for you, as mentioned. Now, another important question is, do they have money to spend? If you're trying to solve poor families, the problems of poor families, like we mentioned earlier with the plumbing example, you have to make cost effective solutions, which is not vital for most people who are just getting started. Because if you want to build a successful business around poor families, you need to throw a lot of money into ads, acquiring customers, and things like that. Because it's very hard to navigate, it's very hard to get their soul interested in your services. You need to think about a lot of things. Sure, you can make it highly successful because you have more people you can target, because more people are poor than rich people, but it's very hard to get them to pay money for you, to pay money for your services, right? So you need to understand whether they do have the money to spend on your services. Another question to ask, another thing to consider is productivity. So yeah, this is a great example just to understand what it meant by market research. Don't get into the productivity space. There's a lot of people on the productivity space, productivity coach, productivity SaaS, so many things around productivity. The problem is internet has been there for the last 2 decades very, very proactively. There is already a lot of solutions around productivity so far. Your solution around productivity is not going to become really successful in 2025. It might have been in 2010 or 2011. But right now, if you're trying to build a productivity tool, it's not going to be successful. So, what you need to do instead is pick a segment like remote workers. So, when you think about remote workers, what is productivity for them? For them, productivity is all about work life balance. If you take ADHD students, productivity is all about focus strategies. If you take entrepreneurs, productivity is all about decision fatigue. If you take parents, it's all about household chaos management. So, having a target market attached to your problem and doing a research around that, why exactly they have this problem. Let's say if you take ADHD students, trying to understand how much percent of these people have ADHD in a degree where they are unable to perform any single task, doing the research about what could help them sort out that problem is going to help you build a successful business. Before, you have been so obsessed with productivity, but now you are thinking about, okay, so my target audience are ADHD students. What is their biggest problem in their day-to-day life? Day-to-day life, why they feel behind, and you're getting so obsessed about this ADHD dynamics of their life or their life in general, you will be able to build out a solution that is so good for them, that is so specific to them, that their life will change because of your solution. If you were talking about productivity in general, let's say in your YouTube channel, that might not happen, right? An ADHD student might not resonate with your generic solution. They might not resonate with having a using Pomodoro technique or basic productivity tools. They only will be able to solve their chaos if you are someone who have did the research to understand what are the problems that they face on a day-to-day basis. So market research is going to help you make sure your content is specifically tailored for this target market. Now, the second thing you can do is problem validation. So, how do you validate the problem? How do you make sure people really do have this problem that I'm trying to solve, right? You can validate that by through surveying people in that market. Maybe let's say if you are having ADHD students as your target market, you are going to schools and doing survey in schools to sort out a list of students who have ADHD, and you're asking some deep questions with them, like what are they struggling the most in their day-to-day life, and questions like that to really understand what is the thing that's holding them back to achieve their goals, to achieve their aspirations in life. So doing this kind of research will help you identify the exact problem that you can solve, that you can capitalize on building a business around. Now the next thing you can do is analyze competitor comments. So let's say there is another company that is helping ADHD students to navigate their challenge and become successful in their careers. Go to their social media, check out the comments, and find the comments that are most repeated, that are most recurring, because this means this problem is a big, big problem in this target market. ADHD, most of the people who have ADHD, most of the students who have ADHD are going through some kind of similar problems. This will help you validate your idea. Now, the next thing you can do is join communities. You can join school communities, Discord communities, Slack channels, and understand what complaints come up most. In the similar way, you are going through social media accounts and finding the most repeated comments. You're doing the similar thing on communities. Communities are great because communities are supposed or made for self improvement. Unlike YouTube videos, where it's just the video content, it's not essentially a place for asking questions and getting real time feedback. So you can join communities. You can also check search volume. Maybe you can use tools like Uber Suggest or Ahrefs or SEMrush type of tools to understand how much traffic is going for what type of keyword research on Google. You can search for ADHD students remedies, such kind of keywords. You can just look into those numbers and identify what are people searching the most and build a business around that. Now, you can also look at paid ads. You can look into the data from Google Ads. You can look into the data from Facebook ads and understand where companies are spending money. Because if they are spending money, it means they are getting a lot of ROI from doing that. And if they're getting a lot of ROI from doing that, it means they are getting a lot of students. They're getting a lot of ADHD students. So look into those copies and understand what is triggering them the most. What problem is triggering them the most to engage in those ads. So red flags here is that complain but won't pay. So this can be a big problem. There can be people who are complaining but they don't have the intensity to pay. Market is too small. Problems too complex for video. If your problem is too complex for making a video around, it can be a big deal. No purchasing power. So these are some red flags you need to think about. If you are thinking about, let's say, ADHD students, they do complain a lot, but they don't have the money to spend. It can be a red flag because, as mentioned earlier, if you are trying to solve poor people's problem in some form, it's a tough deal to build a business around that. You might have to think about, bringing ads for revenue. It can be really hard to charge them money because they do have the problem, but they just don't have the money to spend. So even if you make a community for them, let's say a community for ADHD students, no matter how much valuable you are for them, it can be really hard to charge high prices. So even though you are able to get all of this data, if they are unable to pay, or the market is too small, or the problems are too complex, and they have no purchasing power, you won't be able to build a successful business around that. Now, there are some the good things you can consider is they're already paying for solutions. Even the solutions are bad ones, because you can make a better solution and even capitalize more on that opportunity. And they have a high emotional investment. It's also not like they are ready to pay a lot of money, but they are not emotionally invested in the solution. This could be, let's say, most executives are really bullish on marketing services, but they are not so much bullish on having an executive assistant. Some of them, right? Having an executive assistant or saving a lot of time with automation side of things, if that's the case. If they don't have enough emotional investment on what you're solving, then you won't be able to build a successful business. They should be having a high emotional intelligence, high emotional investment. So if it's, let's say, executive assistant, that's not actually a good example. So if it's a executive assistant, they do have a high emotional investment, because their life is going to become a lot better if they have a good executive assistant. If they don't have, it is going to become even more tough. If they have a bad executive assistant, it is going to become more tough, right? So you need to make sure that the problems you solve, the people you solve it for, have high emotional investment around solving that problem. If not, it can be a big deal. Now, another thing is it is a recurring problem. So if it's like, let's say, you provide something for one time and they are done for their complete life, unless it's a very high ticket, like let's say $100,000 package or something beyond that, it's fine. But unless it's if it's not the case, you won't be profitable, because they come 1 month and they go after that, because they are only needing a one-time solution, so they won't pay for monthly basis, right? So make sure there are recurring problems. If not, you won't be able to build a recurring business, which means you won't have a good annual revenue. Now, the next thing is they do have the willingness to invest time learning. So this is another criteria for some type of business. If your business is about education business, then they do have the willingness to invest time on learning about that subject matter. If they don't have time, if they don't have the willingness, then no matter how good your course is, they won't watch your course. So if it's like, let's say you are trying to create a course for Fortune 500 CEOs, most of them don't have the willingness to spend their time learning. They do have the willingness to spend their time learning, but from coaches who are billionaires, let's say, or multi-millionaires, not essentially from you. Now, the next thing is competition analysis. So, what do you analyze? Top 10 creators in potential niche. So, if you are going to serve ADHD students with their productivity, look into YouTube for the top 10 creators in that particular niche. Understand their best performing content. Just go to YouTube and filter with the popular. That is the most easiest way to do that. Or you can just go to tools like Social Blade or similar tools to find the highest performing videos of a Instagram page or Facebook page or LinkedIn account. Right? For LinkedIn, you can use Tablio. That's a good tool for that. Identify their best performing content and find the gaps in what they are doing. So they might be making really good videos, really good talking head videos, but they lack some level of well researched content. They might be speaking off the cuff too much. You can make a video that is well researched. Identify the gaps that resonates with you, the gaps that you can authentically feel, and start making content around that. Also, one more thing you need to really analyze, most importantly, is the complaints that these creators receives in their comment section. You're already doing that in the market research phase and problem validation phase, but especially these creators, what type of comments they are getting the most? Because these are the creators you're somehow taking the most amount of inspiration from. You need to make sure that the problem that you're going to solve in your videos, the topics that you're going to choose for your videos, are somehow not essentially the one that these creators have made, but these creators are getting a lot of requests from. These are the topics that could potentially go viral, but they haven't made a lot of content yet around those topics. Now, another thing you can research or analyze is their monetization methods. How they are making money. So maybe you already have decided a service business around your YouTube channel, or you already have a business and you're starting YouTube afterwards. Either way, identify what type of models, what specific framing is allowing them to make a lot of profit. Not essentially their business model, not essentially what they are doing in their business, but what hook, what landing page headline is attracting them to check out and pay for their services or pay for their products. This will help you with your content, and this will help you make sure your business is positioned in a way to make profit. Not just, you think it is going to be profitable, you think people are going to like it, people are going to buy from you, but you might not have the framing that is required to touch the customer's needs or touch the customer's minds to buy from you. Another thing you can analyze is their content frequency and their format. Maybe they are posting daily, maybe they are posting weekly, maybe they are posting monthly. Identify their content type and format. If you can make even more content than them, you might be able to attract a lot of these people than them. Maybe it's about quantity, not as maybe it's about quality, not essentially quantity, as we mentioned earlier. Identify what exactly it is going to be for you that is going to help you stand out from these people and get the most amount of target market for your business. Now, when it comes to finding your gap, we talked about this over here. What it essentially means is looking for underserved sub segments. This is optional. This is optional for most industries, but this is going to be extremely valuable if you are thinking to grow your business to a huge extent. Because if you become the number one in not ADHD students, but ADHD students who show some behavioral patterns of autism, right? You might be able to make even more money, right? Because your solutions are so tailored for them. And again, you do have enough market to capture. If it's less than 10,000 students in this world, you won't be able to build a successful business around that. But you do have, let's say, 50,000 to 100,000 students who have autism and who have ADHD. Maybe building a solution around that is going to make you more rich than building a solution around ADHD, only ADHD, which is a super competitive space at this point, at this moment in this world. Find the gap with subsegments, also with missing content formats. As we mentioned, maybe these people are making really good talking head videos, but they are missing research in their content. They are speaking off the cuff all the time. Maybe bringing research is going to help you stand out. Maybe these people are making short videos, like 10-minute videos, and you can make long 1 hour videos like this one I'm recording right now. That's the best way to stand out. I'm doing this because there's only a few people who makes hours worth of content every single week, and I want to be one of them, right? Because that's the best way for me to capture my market, because I'm also good at this. I'm also good at speaking off the cuff. I'm also good at talking to camera because I have been doing it for a couple of years at this point. Now, one more thing you need to analyze is unaddressed problems. As we mentioned earlier, these people might have a lot of viral videos which you're going to replicate for yourself, but instead of stopping there, go to their comment section and find the most repeated questions that has not been solved yet through a YouTube video or through a course or through a business so far. These are the unaddressed problems that you can solve and you can profit a lot from. Another thing here is ignored price points. So if you are competing against cost because that's how your market works, and your business is about volume, your building a volume based business where you have to have a lot of sales to become profitable than less sales and more money, more, you know, high ticket offers. You need to also think about the ignored price points. Maybe these people are ready to spend a lot more money, but the market, because the market is supposed to be of less charges and high sales, people are not charging enough, and you can charge a lot and you can make even more money. So let's say ADHD students, they are ready to spend $1,000 a month if they get some highly advanced modules to somehow figure out their challenges or somehow become successful even with ADHD. Maybe they are ready to spend $1,000 a month. Maybe their parents are ready to spend $1,000 a month. But most people don't think about that narrative, don't do enough research, don't do enough analyzing on that narrative. Maybe they're getting a lot of comments from rich parents, students that I have ADHD and I would love to explore this package, but they're not taking enough time to do that. Their business is not that flexible. They don't want to distract from their core offer. So an example here will be productivity for entrepreneurs. So the potential gap here is most content is tailored for established entrepreneurs, but they are missing first time founders. It's a good gap, right? And they are also missing creative businesses because critical businesses and creative businesses are completely different. There are more creative businesses where, especially most of these creative entrepreneurs, they have completely different traits from critical businesses or businesses that requires a lot more analytical mind, right? So it's a completely different people building those two types of businesses. Also, one more thing here could be tight budget solutions. Maybe they don't have a lot of budget to spend on productivity, but they want to become more productive. That's a missing puzzle in this target market. Find the potential gaps and fill them with your YouTube channel. Now, the next thing I want to cover in this video is the solution and the content strategy. How do you make your content? What could be the strategy when you are having a clear target market? So let's say your solutions must be number one, specific to market constraints. So this is like time limitations, budget restrictions, skill level, and available resources. These are the four things you need to consider when you're creating your solution. Because either they don't have enough time, either they don't have enough budget, or they are not that technical people. If they are not good at tech, then your solution must be less tech savvy. You need to make sure that they are able to use your service properly. And then the resources, do they have an executive assistant to help them with their management of whatever you're doing for them? Make sure they have the available resources to implement your solution if you are, providing a done for you offer. Now, the next thing you need to consider is how you are differentiating yourself from the existing solutions. This could be your unique methodology. Maybe you do things in a different way, or you have a different delivery format. Maybe you are providing the same thing in a different way, or you provide better results or faster results, which a lot of rich executives high value, or your stuff is more accessible or comprehensive. The next thing you need to consider is whether you really can talk about your solution in video content. You should be able to provide a step by step, teachable, clear frameworks and measurable results and ongoing engagement potential with your videos. So, what I mean by this is if you provide, let's say, a really technical solution, maybe that can be a part of your business, a part of your service delivery. But if that's the core of your solution, then you might have a hard time talking about that through video content. So let's say you provide some technical services for healthcare sector. You need to be able to talk about that in a simple manner with your video content, even though it's too complicated from a service delivery standpoint, you must be able to communicate clearly in your video content. Now, a couple of examples here for productivity for new parents will be: number one, 15-minute systems that work; number two, kid friendly workspace setup; energy management while exhausted, involving kids in routines; quick wins for overwhelmed parents. So these are just five content pillars. You can make content around all these five pillars, and you will be able to attract new parents who are looking for productivity solutions. Now, when you think about content, there are many stages of your audience. There is awareness stage, where they don't know they have a problem, but they do have a problem. So here you will provide education about the consequence. What will happen if they don't fix the problem? So you talk about that in your content. This could be done through daily day in the life content, or busting a myth, or sharing some industry insights. And the second stage is the research stage. They know they have a problem, they're exploring different solutions, and your solution could be the best one they might pick and buy from. So this can be how to content, this can be comparison videos, maybe you're comparing against some other solutions in the market, or this could be case studies or reviewing tools, or whatever that your industry prefers. Now the third stage is decision stage. They are ready to invest in a solution, but they are not sure what it could be. They are thinking about they have multiple products in their mind, but they have not made the decision on what they are going to invest yet, but they have made the decision to invest in some product. Now here, to make sure you are able to you know have in the top of the mind of your consumers, create in-depth tutorials, framework breakdowns, behind the scenes, and social proof. So these four types of content will let them know you are someone they can really benefit from. Now the next stage is implementation stage. These are your existing audience. They believe in you. They are almost there to buy from you, but have not bought yet. For attracting them, for taking them from the implementation stage to buyer stage, create advanced strategies, community highlights, live Q&As, and collaborations with other industry leaders. So these are the four types of content that will help you take someone from almost there to buy your product. So this is all about taking someone from stage A to stage B, from awareness stage to implementation stage. Now, based on this, a simple content calendar would look like: Monday you are posting a problem awareness content, which means the awareness stage. Wednesday you are providing solution tutorials, which means decision stage or research stage. Friday you are sharing some community or engagement, which is implementation stage, and daily you are posting shorts for reels. So this could be awareness or just generic content to bring more traffic, because shorts are better for that. Now, let's talk about some common mistakes people do when it comes to niching down, because this is where a lot of this chaos happens. This is where so many people have the you know hold themselves back from niching down or picking a niche in general. So the first mistake you need to avoid is going too broad too fast. So let's say business advice. The wrong thing you can do is talking about business advice and slowly covering startups to Fortune 500. Like, you are starting from the broadest, then somehow broad, then narrow. That is the wrong way you can approach. The best thing you can do is you start from creative freelancers, let's say, and then you go into all freelancers, then you go into small business. So to give more context on how this works, when I started my YouTube channel, I talked about things that I had the most core relationship with. I talked about audience retention, I talked about communication on videos, I talked about talking head videos, because these are the things that I am most passionate about, and I know I will never leave these things. Even if I'm building a business, something outside of videos. And then slowly I started talking about personal branding. Then I started talking about online marketing. And now I still talk about online marketing a lot, personal branding a lot, and video creation a lot. If I started from, let's say, online marketing or digital marketing, let's say, and I tried to narrow down into video creation, a lot of the people who watch my videos on online marketing are going to have irrelevance with my video creation videos. But if I started with video creation, then they will not have that irrelevance because it is the core, and online marketing is just a broad way of saying the same exact thing or talking about the bigger picture. So nobody will have a problem with that. So whenever you are thinking to narrow down into a market, instead of starting from something so bigger picture, the bigger picture, start from the narrowed one. Take your time to define your market, because you also don't want to keep shifting markets because you're not able to resonate with the market. So make sure you pick a market and then you start your YouTube channel with the core market as your content pillar. And from there, slowly as your business grows, you niche up, or you start talking about the big picture. Now, the next mistake most people do is they pick markets that they don't understand. So, one thing you need to understand is you don't need passion at all. You don't need to be passionate about the industry at all, but you need deep understanding. So, what I mean by this is, even though you are not that passionate about insurance, you can pick insurance if you understand the insurance industry really well. Because the thing is, your passion more than often is going to be around the service delivery. And the industry, sometimes you might not be able to have a lot of passion for, but it is a profitable niche. This is just the way business works, right? Now, I'm not saying you should avoid picking niches that you have some sort of passion. Try to make sure you do have the natural curiosity to learn more about the industry. If not, in the long run you might overwhelm yourself. But you don't need passion at all. You just need passion in what you do, and a deep understanding around the market. Now, another thing is you also be able to have real conversations with people who are in these markets. If you can't talk with them because they are too technical or they are too creative, you won't be able to build a business around that niche or around that market. Now, the next mistake most people do is they ignore market evolution. So, markets change, problems evolve, solutions become outdated. There's a famous story of Nokia. Nokia didn't evolve as the phones started to change, the smartphone came up. You don't want to be like that, right? You really want to be making sure you have the market knowledge really well. You know what is exactly going on a day-to-day basis. You know where what the trends are happening, where the people attention is going. You have the complete understanding about your market. So it is really crucial to stay connected to your audience needs. If not, they might not want your solution anymore because your solution is just outdated. It's like you are still writing content manually when there is cloud and chat gpt helping them write better content. Instead of utilizing these platforms to write even better content, you're saying no to these platforms and just keep writing content manually or hiring ghostwriters. You're losing a lot of money in the table by doing that. Maybe your artistic self artistic self is getting a lot of fulfillment from doing that, but from a business standpoint you are struggling a lot by neglecting AI tools. Now the next thing is content only thinking. So your market determines monetization. Do they have money? That is the question, right? It's not just about your content. Your content can be world class, but if your market don't have the money to spend on your products, then you are not going to make money, right? Do they have the money to spend, and are they quick decision makers? So if you are talking about some extremely complicated technical stuff, and your stuff is supposed to be 30 or $40,000 a month, package, then they don't have the ability to make decisions that quickly. They need a lot of time. So, do you have the capability to wait until someone buy from you? Not at all. If you're selling a high ticket service, that's not a appropriate way. You can't just make content and expect some people will come to you. You have to do the outreach. You have to work on your outbound campaigns. If you're not, then you can't make a business just out of content. So just thinking that if I make really good content, I will be able to sell any high ticket services, it's not actually true. It's not appropriate. Now, another thing you need to consider is, are they comfortable buying online? There are so many industries which are still not digital first. If you are selling to them, then they might not be comfortable buying from you. You need to be making sure they have the comfortability buying from online. Not only you, but almost any other vendors. Value education, enough to pay. Now, the next thing, the next phase of this presentation is the implementation roadmap. So, week one and week two, you want to spend your time on research. Pick 3 to 5 potential markets, research problems and pain points, analyze competition, validate the market size and spending power. I won't recommend just doing the theory side of things. You can also practically implement by, you know, testing out with your YouTube channel, maybe making a video for real estate one day and for some a completely different industry the other day. Just doing it practically will help you understand even better, because you can have the real time data, because you can have the data that is coming out from your own branch. Now, this might not be applicable all the time, but try your best doing that, because it's way better to test out something and then make a conclusion rather than just depending on your research. No matter how much data you have, unless you implement yourself, you really have no idea what is going to happen. Now, the next thing, the next week, 3 and 4, you want to focus on validation. You might already have a lot of markets already. You might have did a lot of survey. Now, join communities, observe, create test content, narrow to best option. So week 1 and 2, maybe you can just gather as much data as possible. Week 3 and 4, start validating that. Start creating content and start implementing right away, and then make better decisions. Now, week 5 and 6, you want to focus on strategy side of things. You want to develop your unique solution approach, how exactly you're going to solve the problem that you have came after from the week 3 and 4 research validation phase. Now, create the content pillars, plan your first 30 videos, and start making content and start setting up your tracking systems. One of the biggest mistake I did in my journey is making really good videos, making really good content, but not having the tracking systems. So tracking systems is pretty much all about knowing how much ROI you're able to bring to your business from your video content. Don't just depend on your YouTube analytics or LinkedIn analytics or Instagram insights. Start tracking the data from Google Analytics and more advanced data tools to make sure you are able to get the best out of your content efforts. More than often, the reason why you feel or you are stuck is not because your performance is slow. It's because you have no idea about your performance. You don't know what is going wrong. If you knew that you have a struggle with, let's say, lead to sales conversion rate, then you can just focus on fixing that rather than trying to fix your traffic, which is already a lot. Now, the next week, 7 to 8, you want to focus on launching your content strategy, launching your outbound strategy, launching your overall strategy, and adjusting that based on feedback that you have got in the week 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 phases. Now, the bottom line of whatever I'm trying to explain over here in this entire 1 hour or 1.5 hour of video is that you are not the niche. Your market is the niche. There's a famous line from Marcus Sheridan, the author of the book They Ask, You Answer. Your market is your guideline. Your market is your guideline. It's not what you think. is your guideline. You're not an artist when you're building a business. You're a business owner. And a business owner is obsessed with solving problems of his defined target market. So the key mindset shift from this video, the key takeaway from this video will be stop asking the question, what should I talk about? And start asking the question, who should I serve and what do they desperately need? Because problem solving is not about having a world class solution, it is about providing what exactly someone is looking for. If I'm looking for a cup of water, I just need a cup of water as quickly as possible. I don't necessarily need the best tasting water. I don't care about that. I just care about solving my thirst. And if someone is, putting so much jargon over there and trying to bring me some juice by 2 hours late or 3 hours late, I don't care about that. So understand the problem and provide the best class solution for that problem, not for some imaginary ideal. I want to end this video by saying serve a market, solve a problem, and scale a business. Don't go the other way. Some people start a business and then they think about the problem and then they think about market. You need to first define your market, a market that can genuinely pay for whatever the amount of money you're thinking to charge, and then finding a problem that this market have that you have the skills to solve for, and then building a business around that. So this is not a business advice, this is a YouTube advice, I would say, because most people, there are so many practitioners making really good content, but around their practice, in a way, they don't know who they are targeting, which results in bad results from a business standpoint. They don't have any sales, they are making really good videos, they are getting a lot of leads, but everyone is completely different. They are getting leads from CEOs, they are getting leads from, you know let's say, college students, which is the reason why they are not able to build a profitable business, because they are super chaotic on how they can provide value for all of them in an equal manner. If they are creating a course, how is that going to be valuable for both the college student and the Fortune 500 CEO? That's never happening. So hopefully this is a solution for this chaos, and hopefully making a career out of your YouTube journey or building a business from your YouTube journey. I hope this helps. Subscribe, like, and do all of the stuff I have mentioned over here. And hopefully I will see you on the next one.